Hey everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in to one of EPARTRADE's Race Industry Now Tech webinars. If you're a part of the racing industry or you're just passionate about racing tech, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode.
Good morning and welcome to Race Industry Now, the weekly webinar series from EPARTRADE, presented to you by ARP, Performance Plus Global Logistics, Feria Racing Components, Peak, Fifth Third Bank Motorsport, Quarer, and CTEC Manufacturing. I am Francisque Savignan, the founder and CEO of EPARTRADE, the racing industry, every minute, every day. This is episode 558, and we're going to be talking about transmission, with SADEV. With me this morning are Judy Kin, the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and a wonderful host, Mr. Brad Gilly. Judy.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And if you have yet to sign up for Race Industry Week, the 6th annual, please do so. You could either log on to the platform, you could sign up there, you get our newsletters, sign in there, but we are confirming all the industry leaders, sanctioning bodies, a few engine builders. We're confirming everybody now, and that's going to be a big week. Brad?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that for sure, and looking forward to today's webinar. So we'll talk to you, Francisque and Judy, coming up here in just a short while, but this is going to be an exciting one. Looking forward to it. The title for today's webinar, SADEV Engineering Uncovered, How Cutting-Edge Technology Powers Championship Transmissions, featuring Fuzzy Horton, the Operations Manager at SADEV. And Fuzzy, welcome. Great to see you again. Happy to have you back on Race Industry Now.
Thanks for having us on. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully we'll enlighten people a little bit more on SADEV and our technologies and our background in the company and our engineering technology.
Well, we look forward to it. So before we get into, the meat of the topic and what we're going to talk about, let's just give people a good idea of SADEV and everything that you guys have going on. I know we have a short video to kick things off, and I think this is going to be a great way to start it. So whenever that's ready to roll.
Sometimes, the difference between victory and defeat is just 1/10 of a second. In the blink of an eye, you've moved from the shadows into the spotlight. This decisive fraction of a second is made possible by a series of elements, crafted to perfection by men and women who are laser-focused on the same goal. It all starts with an alloy, often rare, with properties and in grades that meet the highest aerospace standards. It is cut, machined, drilled, and shaped. Each step is methodical and precise. There is no room for error. The most advanced technology is used so that man and machine can become one and push the bounds of excellence. Every second shaved off a race is the fruit of our unique expertise and the efforts of dedicated engineers who work hand in hand with highly qualified technicians. A triumphant win may hinge on a mere 10th of a second, but the work behind it is anything but minuscule. Seconds turn into hours, days, and weeks, during which our team lose track of time as they work tirelessly to develop the transmissions of the future. Using a watchmaker's precision, each element finds its place. Building on this technological alchemy, we watch the fruits of our expertise and hard work become a reality.
We can advise you and give you technical details.
Our teams are here to listen, advise, and assist you with services to meet your needs throughout the world. At SADEV, we strive to constantly push the boundaries of perfection with high-tech transmissions. Because nothing motivates us more than watching that elusive 1/10 of a second light up your face.
I'm kind of a geek for seeing what happens behind the scenes in manufacturing facilities, especially one that works with such precision. That was a pretty amazing video, Fuzzy.
Yeah, they did a really good job on that, didn't they?
Yeah.
It kind of shows the whole process, shows some of our technology, at least the technology that we can show show people. They were very well done, very well done. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. Well, let's talk a little bit and I guess start really talking about the company, because the company has been around for many decades now, and
Mhm.
obviously the innovation and the history and the legacy and the experience and all of that definitely shine through. But tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the company was founded by Mr. Vincento in 1974. So last year was our 50-year anniversary. So we're at 51 years now. He started the company. He was doing some racing, couldn't get some gearbox parts that he needed, or couldn't get the quality he wanted. So decided to start the company and do that. Some of the milestones of the company is 1996. They did their first sequential transmission. 2011 started becoming a supplier to the World Rally Championship. 2013, they created SADEV USA, which is we're not a dealer. We are SADEV. We're just SADEV's United States arm. 2015, we got into Formula E as a supplier. In 2023, with the help of Mr. DeBouche, we started SADEV Gen 2. So we wanted to revamp the company, get more efficient, and increase our production, increase our technology. We also at that time put in an internal training center, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And then in 2024, we created the SADEV Group, which is made up of 4 other companies with SADEV. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. The main facility in France is about 245 people. It's 107,000 square feet, so it's a very large facility. And we produce about 2,500 gearboxes a year for the racing industry. We've got 22 distributors worldwide. So it's a pretty significant company.
It really is a pretty significant company. Well, with the title of our webinar today being SADEV Engineering Uncovered, How Cutting Edge Technology Powers Championship Transmissions, let's talk about why we're here today and what you have going on.
Yeah, well, there's obviously several transmission suppliers, motorsport transmission suppliers worldwide. We feel we set apart due to our technologies, the size of the company, some of the design and R&D software we have that we can design, we can optimize everything. So that's what we try to do. When we talk about the SADEV Group, we formed that because those companies have specific gear and shaft technologies. Why would we just not do that on our own? We didn't want to pull from our own resources, right? So I've been involved in other companies where you do something, you say, okay, well, we're going to get into these other markets, and it detracts from what you're actually doing. So now we have all these other resources. We're up to 380 people with these other companies, and the technologies that they have. We can bring that in and optimize the motorsports products that we produce.
Which is really awesome with everything you've got going. Before we get too deep into it, I also want to remind anyone who's viewing us live here today, if you have a question for Fuzzy at any time, just please feel free to type it into the chat. And I know, Fuzzy, you are fresh off of actually being at a trade show. This is our online trade show, so let's treat it as such.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, please feel free to jump in with that. As far as the manufacturing goes, you guys, everything is pretty solid as far as being 100% integrated and all of that. What more can you tell us?
Yeah. So all of our supply chain, our foundries, our turning, milling. Now we don't do any casting, but we have a group of foundries that we work very closely with. Some foundries are better at doing certain processes than others. So we have long-term relationships with those, but the turning, the milling, the cutting, heat treating, post process is all done in-house. So we can control every aspect of that. Many of our competitors are good at certain things, but they still subcontract out other things. So, let's just say in the case of heat treating, you have to send parts out to get heat treated. You're relying on whatever their timeline is and what their QC policies are. So we don't have to do that because we do that in-house. We just recently put in our grinding area, we just recently put in a Klingenberg G30. We added that to our other grinding machines. We have a Gleason, another Klingenberg, and I believe there is a Lieber machine as well. So those are very high-end gear grinding equipment. But the G30 is a big deal. Putting that in, that'll increase things significantly for us. We also do surface treatments in-house. So we have some coatings. We do some shop peening. Again, that's another process that's usually farmed out. We do polishing in-house. So we control every aspect of it.
I remember the last time we were talking, one of the things we were talking about with the main factory being in France, and we're talking to largely a United States audience, but also worldwide. Because of all this, turnaround times do become fairly quick for what we're doing, right?
Yes, yeah. So all of our gearboxes are built to order. So once a customer works with us here in the United States, and we set a spec for the gearbox, I load that in the system in France, and we've really cut down our lead time since post-COVID, so we can get a gearbox over here in a few months. As far as parts go, we're stocking parts here in the United States. We focus on the main series that are here in the United States, but even if we get a SADEV gearbox that a customer has in a car that they bought from Europe, and we don't happen to have the parts in stock here in the United States, I can very easily get them from SADEV France in 5 to 7 days. It's not a problem.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's talk about the internal training center. You mentioned that, Fuzzy. What is it? Where is it? What all can you tell us?
Well, so it's basically a building right next to the original factory. What we wanted to do is train our own staff. Any company that you have experienced staff, at some point that staff's going to retire or move on. You want to have trained personnel trained the way you want them trained on whether it be the grinding machines, turning machines, and any operating the machines. So the factory's in a rather rural area, and so we want to pull in people. We want to get them to work for SADEV. We want to train them specifically on what SADEV's processes and procedures are. So we developed this internal training center. There's simulation software. There's training software for the machines. So we can specifically train people to create the parts and operate the machinery exactly the way we need them to.
That's fantastic. I know we're going to get into specific racing series and some new products and things like that. But, one thing I want to point out as well, and maybe if you could expand on it as well, Fuzzy, you mentioned some of the series around the world that you're supplying, WRC, Formula E, different things like that. And
Right.
you're making products for the highest of technology racing, all the way down to the club racer. And the quality of those products, the engineering that goes into them, is uncompromised in any form. Is that fair to say?
Right. Oh yeah. So it doesn't matter if it's the World Endurance Championship or World Rally, or just a guy that's got a track day car that's a C6 Corvette that we offer a product for that. The same know-how, the same expertise, the same design philosophies go in all of those categories, right? So obviously there's cost implications, when you make something for a WEC car versus a track day car, right? But it's optimizing everything, making the part specifically for the market that it's targeted for and for the customer base that it's targeted for.
And then, so when we start talking about that, that really starts speaking to quality as well. Because again, if
Right.
you're making something for, the highest of technology, racing series and all of that, to club racing, like you said, the guy who wants to track day his Corvette. So let's talk a little bit more about the quality and the traceability as well.
Right. Right. So, it's the first step is doing everything integrated and doing it in-house. The second step is ensuring that everything's the way you want it. And that's why we have the traceability and the quality control standards that we have in place. We know the raw material that comes in. We know the batches of the raw material. Some of the raw materials made specifically for us. We know everything about it, when it came in, when it was made. Then as parts are made, we laser etch the part number on it as well as a lot number. So should we have a need in the future to go back and find out when something was made, what material it was made from, where did the material come from, when did we get the material, we can go back through the lot number and do that. The other thing that we do is every gearbox that's manufactured has a serial number. The build sheet for the gearbox with all the parts and their lot numbers, the clearances of the gears, the whole setup procedure for building it is on a build sheet. We get a gearbox in over here. All I have to do is get the serial number. I can log onto the server in France. I can get the complete build of that gearbox along with the lot numbers of the critical components. And there's just no way to make a mistake with it, right? And there's no way to, should we have an incident where we need to find out exactly what's going on, we have the traceability to do that.
I think that's pretty. Look, it just speaks volumes about what the company does and just how detailed everything is. So, a lot of different things that go into it as far as like testing and measuring and different things like that. What can you tell us there?
Well, we've got hardness testers, we've got spectrometers, we got microscopes that we do all the look at the parts with as they're being made. We've got CNC tooth measuring equipment. As far as like I said, we did the castings. The castings are made outside, but when they come in, we can do chemical analysis of the casting. We have 3D scanning so that we can measure the wall thickness and make sure that everything's exactly how we spec'd it out to be. Again, in heat treatment, because we control the heat treatment, we can adjust the heat treatment if we need to for parts. Our electro beam welding, we can cut those pieces apart and make sure the weld on the beam, the weld is as it should be. Dimensional controls of our mechanical parts, functional. The QC department is massive. Yes.
I like that. We do have a couple of questions from the chat before we continue that want to get in there. Apparently, Brian Neebs is big of a geek for manufacturing as me, but he says, great video. Is it on your website, which you guys have a YouTube page, website, and all of that? I'm new to heat treating machine building company and would like to be able to view yours. So I don't know if he's looking for a tour or just wants to see what you guys all have as far as video.
Yeah. There are several videos on our YouTube channel. The specific video that we showed here at the beginning just kind of gives a tease of some of our processes and high technology equipment. I'm not aware, or do I think we would put out much detail exactly on how we're doing things. So I think he's just going to have to settle for that video that we started out with.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Which, by the way, if you look in the chat and you want to go watch the video again yourself, they posted a link to it. So thank you very much for that. Another question. Thank you for the presentation. Could you confirm whether your company manufactures high-performance transfer cases? I'm currently developing a Mercedes ML63 AMG fitted with an aftermarket supercharger. Oh, hang on, it just scrolled for me. Fitted with an aftermarket supercharger, and I'm exploring suitable drivetrain solutions. Who's the best person to email to contact for technical and sales inquiries?
He can contact me. So it's jeff.horton@sadev-tm.com. We do have existing products that have transfer cases that are part of the product. I'm not aware off the top of my head of just a specific transfer case that we could go mount on something else, but possibly one of our other products, inline 6-speed with a transfer case on it, or a transaxle with a transfer case on it might work for his project.
Okay, good. And what a great place to start. So thank you for that question. And another one says, how does SADEV balance weight, strength, and durability when building your gearboxes? You know, we all want it to be light. We all want it to be strong and last.
Mhm.
We all want it to
But
perform.
it's right. It's always compromise, right? So um, we rely on the customer to provide us with the details of the vehicle, the horsepower, torque, the weight of the vehicle, the type of racing that'll be done, that sort of thing. And so we take all those inputs and try to point the customer in the right direction if it's for an existing product. If it's for a new product, it's pretty much the same process. You have to look at how it's going to be used. You know, some of the software that we have in our engineering department. We've got, I believe we've got 32 engineers, designers, and programmers. So there's 32 very smart individuals that have all these resources at their fingertips, so that we can take what the vehicle and the environment and everything is, and specifically optimize to that, right? So do the gears need to be bigger? Does the shaft spread need to be more? In the case if we're building, designing the case, we can make the case thick where it needs to be thick, but we can make it very thin where it needs to be very thin. We can optimize all that. Some of our products that we've tried to bring to the US market, like our SCL 924 transmission, it's an inline 6-speed transmission. You know, we had to try to look at a very wide market and build something that would try to cover a lot of things. So I mean, we've got one customer that's at 1,500 horsepower at the wheels, running that transmission with no problem. Do you think I answered his question?
I think you did. I think that's pretty
Sometimes I've told you before, I might run down a rabbit hole. You have to pull me back out.
Oh no, that's okay. We like rabbit holes; those are good things. But again, to your point, when it comes to the great compromise that you always have in racing, being able to tailor, hey, we can save weight here where we can save weight, but we need to have durability here where we need to have durability. And when you
Right.
start combining all of those things, then you get, you've maximized performance, which probably leads us right into talking about R&D. You know, that this world of racing is ever evolving.
Right.
And we always talk about it as a journey rather than a destination. So, how about the R&D with the company and continuing on that journey?
Yeah. So like I said, we've got 32 really smart individuals in that group, and we have several softwares that allow us to optimize everything. And then of course with the SADEV group as well, we have the resources for from those groups to pull in as well. You know, so whether it's doing aerospace stuff or nuclear or industrial or defense, whatever it is, even though we're in the driveline world, there are other components and other markets that require different techniques. So we can pull in from all those other resources now and put that into designing the proper product for the motorsport. We just recently released a transaxle called the SL 923 for the off-road market. We can talk about that a little bit, but that was a similar project where we saw a market that we hadn't been into, the United States off-road market, and we went and found what at the time is the best, or currently was the best, competitor's product for that, and we set into designing something more efficient, lighter, at the same or better strength, to fit right in that. And we used a lot of these technologies with the software. we can apply the loads into the transmission. We can model the transmission or the gear or a single gear, and we can apply loads in there. We can tell specifically where the weak spots are and the strong spots are, and we can tweak the design to optimize all of that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, well, let's you mentioned off-road. I know that's one of many markets in which you have expertise in. So let's talk about this, the wide range of products and racing formats.
Yep. Yep. So we've got various inline transmissions, transverse transmissions, transaxles, all of these, both in two-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. We do rear end units. There's a new rear end unit called the SP08 that we've used some kind of revolutionary technology on and design philosophy, and we've actually got a patent on this particular product. So that was used this past year at the Dakar Rally. You mentioned that the off-road history that we have. The Dakar Rally, which is a very brutal 2-week rally event. The T1 Plus and the T1 class, we have almost 100% of the field on our product. So I think that speaks to our pedigree in the off-road world.
I would say so. That's pretty impressive. I'm a big fan of Dakar and the different rally stuff. It's just amazing the endurance that goes into something like that and different things that they have to do. A lot of the different racing platforms as well that you're involved in. I mean, it's very wide ranging and really covers just about anything that turns left and right, goes in circles or on road courses or on dirt, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We're in rallycross, rally raid, road racing. I mentioned earlier the WEC. We do in the United States. We supply the Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, the Toyota GR86 Series, F3, which is now called FR, F4. There's a lot of cars in the United States, a lot of race series running our product.
Yeah. And again, what you talk about goes to the wide range of different types of series and all of that. So everything's manufactured in France, but SADEV USA has been around for more than a decade now, really servicing this country and a lot of other things. What more can you tell us?
No, it started in 2013. We're 100% owned by SADEV France. As I said, we're not a dealer. We are SADEV. We service about 100 transmissions here in the United States. Most of those are the Mazda MX-5, GR86, a lot of the SCCA stuff like the Spec Racer Ford. But we also get any other SADEV transmission in here. We'll service it. We do take care of the United States, Canada, and Mexico from this facility. There's 4 of us here, so it's quite busy for four people. We stock parts for most of the major series in the United States. Like I said, if I don't have it, we can get it in 5 to 7 days.
That's impressive. And where are you based? Is it North Carolina? Where?
Yeah. We're in Mooresville, North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay.
Great city, USA, they say.
I thought so. I just wanted to, bring that up as another point of being right there in the middle of it. Let's talk about the Horton Racing technical partnership this year.
Right. So with the introduction of the SL923, we knew that in the United States, the off-road racing is generally in the Southwest or on the West Coast and in Mexico. We needed some presence on the West Coast. We needed somebody that was experienced in off-road racing to help us introduce, distribute, and service the SL923. So that's why we partnered up with Horton Racing. Doug's father started the company. Doug Horton runs the company now. I believe it was started in 1972. They're based in San Diego. They're about a 10,000 square foot facility, 15 employees or so. So that's really the off-road technical partner that we needed it wasn't going to be very convenient for customers on the West Coast to send their transmission back to Mooresville, North Carolina to get it serviced when everything they're doing is in the Southern California, Arizona, Texas region.
That does make sense. And also, having people out there that are using things as well. When you talk about the new off-road transmission and things, you mentioned you took, who was the market leader and looking at some of the things they do. Is this a complete redesign? Is this just, hey, we're going to take something that people are using and we're going to do what we can to put our stamp on it and make it better? What can you tell us about how that evolved?
This was a completely clean sheet, start from scratch design for us. Again, we had to have something that was a benchmark and something that we wanted to better and optimize. So using our design software and technology, we looked at the components that were in the market, looked at what their sizing and strength was, and decided to optimize it and increase the strength, lower the weight, add some accessories that aren't normally out in the market currently. So in the case of the sand car off-road market, one of the things is you have to have an oil pump to cool the things, right? So kind of what everybody does is use an electronic oil pump to run the oil to a cooler. We decided to put a mechanical oil pump on the gearbox itself, so you didn't have a separate system to, a separate electronic system and everything that comes with that. And then we included that. We've got a removable oil filter that's cleanable. We've got inspection ports, so without even removing the transmission from the car, you can simply drain the oil, pull the oil filter, clean it, and then through these inspection ports, you can inspect the condition of the gears, the condition of the dog rings. So, typically you have to remove a transmission from the vehicle. You have to take the transmission apart just to inspect it. And kind of going back to our racing heritage and knowledge, these little features and benefits that we put into this transmission and many of our others comes from what we've learned in racing. Say in the case of Dakar, you have to be able to inspect things. You have to be able to look at things and manage your time. So that's the type of technology that we're pulling down into other product ranges that aren't typically used.
Yeah, I remember you showing us some of that last time, and I just thought it was just really fascinating and amazing how I mean, that's just a feature that when you bring it up is almost like, why haven't we always had something like this? I think it's a really cool thing. What about some of the other features and benefits of that SL923?
Okay, well, it's only 175 pounds. So for a gearbox in that class, that's quite a bit lighter. It's smaller size wise. It has optimized straight cut gears. So the gears are 24 millimeters wide, where the competitors' gears are about 22 millimeters wide. We also increased the main shaft and input primary shaft spacing. Ours is 90 millimeters, where our competitors is about 85 millimeters. So as the shaft spacing goes out, the gears get bigger, the gears get stronger, right? We went with straight cut gears. Straight cut gears are more efficient. They don't create as much side thrust as a helical gear. Thus, there's less heat. There's less need for big bearings on the side, and it doesn't rob as much horsepower. So anytime in racing or even in the high performance aftermarket, people will say, well, I've got 1,500 horsepower. It's like, okay, but with the current transmission that you have, you're only getting 800 horsepower or whatever don't quote me on the numbers. I'm just saying that if you got 1,500 horsepower at the engine, you're going to lose some of that horsepower through the driveline losses. It's natural. It's mechanical. Certain types of drive lines have more losses. Well, with the straight cut gears, you have less. So in the market that we're going into with the SL923, having the straight cut gears, now guys, when they say, oh, I've got 1,500 horsepower, they're going to get more of that horsepower to their wheels than they had in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, simple physics. Electric reverse lockout as well.
Yeah. So we also do cable lockouts, but on this one we decided to do an electric reverse lockout. So to go from first gear to neutral, you just have to push a button and then shift. The same from neutral to reverse. it's a cleaner, it's lighter. You don't have to worry about a cable routing or the cable breaking or sticking or getting sand in it and not working properly. We also, the off-road vehicles, tire travel is a big thing, right? You want as much travel as you can get. So you have to look at the rear suspension geometry and the axle angles. So by making our transmission narrower, right, it allows you to have a better angle on your axles, right? So if you're way out here, your angles, you're just not going to get as much travel. I guess that's the right way to articulate. So, we tried to make it narrower. It's about 20 mil narrower than our competitor.
That's impressive. That's impressive. O-ring case seams instead of silicon. Tell us about that.
Again, it's a service thing, based on racing. If when you do need to service a gearbox, if all your case seams have an O-ring, it's cleaner to come apart. You don't have to scrape all the silicone off and change things. We do have a few of our products that are in a price point sensitive area that we will use the silicone, but because more cost to making the O-ring grooves. But in this particular thing, we wanted the best. We wanted everything optimized.
Yeah, I like that. What about the differential options?
Well, we're using a worm gear type of torsion type of differential in the SL923. That's what is commonly, that style is what's commonly used. A little bit of a difference on ours is that the worm gears inside this differential are ground tooth. They're not just a cut tooth, so it operates a lot smoother than what's typically available. The people that have driven it have actually commented on that. There's also a spool. If a customer wants to use a spool, we can do that. And then we also have a limited slip differential that uses a ramp and plates, clutch plate style, which is more of kind of a road racing mentality. We do use it on some of our off-road products, but typically you'll see that in road racing. But if a customer wants that, we have the options to do that.
One of the things we got to see in the video as well, they were testing the hydraulic paddle shift. So why hydraulic paddle shift?
Well, the environment that Dakar is with the dirt and silt, and the environment for WRC Rally is very dirty. There are electric units available out in the market, and there are also air-powered units available out in the market. Those can be very sensitive to dirt and silt and affect their operation. So our hydraulic unit is completely sealed. There's an electric motor, an accumulator, and then the reservoir, a metering block with the solenoids on the bottom. So the paddles are electronic. So when the paddle sends a signal, it fires the solenoid. It also it fires very rapidly as well. I've been told from people that have used air versus the hydraulic that the hydraulic operates a lot quicker than the air does.
I could see that. We do have a couple more questions from the chat, Fuzzy. So how do you select your gear ratios to balance low speed crawl torque with high speed desert runs? And I'm almost wondering, again, I'm not the expert in off-road, but for me, and Jan obviously knows more who asked the question, I think to myself, okay, depending on how you're making the run, I always think of crawling as a specific form and desert racing as a specific form. But again, without having knowledge of how some of these events work, if you need both in one.
Well, we'll ask the customer what their first gear speed, what their choice is, or what it is they're looking for, and what the top gear speed that they're looking for, and then along with engine RPM, tire diameter, and these other inputs, we have software that can calculate what the optimum is. If sometimes there does have to be a compromise. I've been involved in projects where it's just tough to get the best of both worlds. I feel we have the resources at our fingertips to find out what the best is, but there's just times that Well, so one thing that comes to mind is autocross guys, right? So I have a lot of customers that, let's say they have a Corvette, C5, C6 Corvette. They like to do autocrosses, which is basically first and second gear, but they like to go do track days as well, where they're going to be up in fifth and sixth gear. And it's just going to be difficult to have something that's perfect first, second gear for autocross, and then go to Daytona and run a track day at Daytona and go 185 miles an hour. So you have to find a compromise in there. I don't know if I'm answering the person's question specifically, but a lot of times there's a compromise, and I feel we have the tools and the ratio lists, the existing ratio lists, to try to hit as much as that as possible.
Yeah, I almost feel like, the better, and I think that was a great answer as well, is to really look at what you do for your customers, and that's optimizing the product for motorsports. You say,
Right.
here's what I need, then the engineers say, well, here's what we can do for you, and
Right.
the
Right.
goods and the compromise. Because
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
you-
I've had a few projects for single customers where it's, I've been doing it a long time, but there's a reason engineers are engineers. I'm not. I'm just a race car mechanic that stumbled into what I'm doing, right? And I have to send an engineer I have to send an email to engineering and explain what it is, and let those guys use the technology that they have, and advise me on how to steer the customer with the product.
Yeah, I like that. Another comment, it says, very interesting topics. Hello to the whole SADEV team from ProDrive. As a former member of the team, it's a pleasure to see your products here again, Jules. So that's always nice.
Yeah. ProDrive's a good company. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Fuzzy, is there anything that maybe we haven't touched on? I mean, other than, again, a vast amount of resources, a long history here in this business, a strong engineering group, and a great way to find a solution that is right for what someone needs, and a number of already built solutions as well.
Yeah, I think if I was going to bring a conclusion to it, how cutting edge technology powers championship, right? Championship winning transmissions is that it's the whole package, right? It's the whole company package. It's our resources. It's the 51 years. It's all of our different technologies and inputs it's all of that, not so specific, like, well, this is how we cut a spline, or this is exactly how we cut a gear. It's all of it. It's all there. Doesn't matter if you're top tier WEC or you're just a track day guy with a Corvette, you're getting the same benefit from all of that.
I think that's wonderful. Well, Francis, I know it's always great having a French company that also has a base here in the United States as well, just like we have at EPARTRADE, right?
Exactly, right? We said an American company with a French accent. I learned that from Wilfried Eibach from Eibach Springs, as we are an American company with a German accent, so we're doing that a little bit too. But thank you so much, Fuzzy. A terrific company, SADEV. I have seen them, coming to the US market and doing extremely well. So delighted to have Fuzzy today represent the company and talk about the wonderful product they are making. So this webinar has been recorded. It will be posted later on the EPARTRADE platform, distributed through our newsletter, social media channel, as well as on YouTube. In the meantime, we pushed SADEV's product back on the homepage of EPARTRADE. So for more information and update, please visit epartrade.com. Next webinar will be on sponsorship with K1 Race Gear. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.
Hey, we want to thank you for watching. Now, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell so you're always up to date with the latest racing technology, industry insights, and exclusive content from EPARTRADE. In racing, every second counts. This is EPARTRADE, the premier business-to-business platform for the performance and racing industry. We connect buyers and suppliers 24/7 worldwide. Racing never stops, neither do we. Discover cutting-edge products and services from around the globe, gaining insights from our live platform, daily newsletters, weekly webinar series, and our highly anticipated annual Race Industry Week. EPARTRADE.com. The racing industry, every minute, every day.
ARP, the ultimate fasteners for whatever you build. To get the best performance, always follow ARP's installation instructions included with the product. For the latest torque specs, go to ARPinstructions.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series. Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
Where will you find Ferrea racing components, circle track, drag racing, and any top race shop? In every form of motorsports competition, our valves and valve train components deliver race-proven design and technology. And we've brought that same performance to our street applications as well. We're backed by 5 decades of experience, an extensive range of off-the-shelf components, and our custom valve department has the fastest turnaround times in the industry. Ferrea Racing Components. Stand with us or race against us.
When it comes to pushing the limits of performance, the pros know there's no room for compromise. At Crower Cams, we don't just engineer camshafts and valve train components, we redefine what power means. Since 1955, Crower Cams has been the name trusted by racers, engine builders, and gearheads around the globe. Whether you're building a street machine, a dragster, or a track car, Crower Cams provides the muscle you need to dominate. And with Crower, victory is within your reach.
At SeaTech, we're on a mission to lead the storage industry through innovative custom-built solutions that meet every challenge head-on. Designed for versatility, whether in a commercial setting or at home, we create high-quality, durable products that stand the test of time. SeaTech, engineering and innovation.